If you're reborn with absolutely no magic in a world full of gaping monsters and powerful magicians, you're thinking this is GG for you, right? Wrong. Because if you're the likes of Seika Ramplog, you just happen to be a legendary exorcist in your previous life and a powerful demon lord in your present. Despite his jaw-dropping OP abilities, Seika chooses to live a simple life. Are you curious to see how he corrects the mistakes of his past and goes on to utterly annihilate his enemies? Let's dive right into his story. Battered, defeated, and on the brink of death, the strongest exorcist was stabbed with the blade of betrayal. The imperial court sent out his favorite disciple to do the dirty deed. Exhausting his final few breaths of life, Haruyoshi Kugano cast a reincarnation spell with the cunning determination to succeed in his next life. He is reborn in a different world, a world of monsters, demons, and magicians wielding the powers of the four elements. Born into a family of magicians, Seika Ramplog, the son of the noble's concubine, has no ability to exercise magic energy. Seika thinks that it won't be an issue as he can still use the skills from his original life. Damn, that's basically smurfing. Seika is in good relations with Ifa, a daughter of a slave, whose status is that of a servant. Even though he's on good terms with her, his beastly elder brother Gray bullies him about his lack of magic and treats Ifa harshly. Rodney-Ya is a magic academy that seeks out elite magicians for the benefit of the nation. The Ramplogs boast an extraordinary influence in the kingdom, so much so that only one child can attend the magical academy. Their father chimes in and demands for Gray to attend his magic training. Seika requests to be a spectator and goes out with them. Gray uses a potent fireball technique and acts impressed with his abilities. Seika recalls in his previous life, divination and curses played a larger role than using battle magic. Seika decides to give it a shot. He had no initial plans to reveal the scope of his powers but wanted to prove a point. Seika cast a beautiful earth and fire technique to shoot a blue fireball, an attack without the need of an incantation. Gray is stunned and somehow thinks it's because of the residue of his magic power left on the wand. Ahaha, I genuinely need bro's level of confidence in my life. His father tells them that there have been cases of magicians using magic without having any magical power. Seika tells his father that he also wants to learn magic like his brothers. His father gives him a reality check that such people without magic never end up becoming magicians. Sheesh, that's just tough luck, kid. With the end of their practice session, Seika heads home to create his talismans. He actually deployed the use of demonic spirits in his previous life, and hasn't been able to find any ever since he came here. After completing his talisman, he finally rebuilds his connection to the spiritual realm and summons Kitsune, a demon spirit. The spirit immediately embraces her master after missing him for 11 years. She's actually one of his powerful assets at his disposal. Seika instructs her to change her appearance into a different form, and so she turns into an adorable animal. Later, Seika overhears Gray bullying Ifa, going as far as to harass her shamelessly. Seika comes as her knight in shining armor, and Gray is pissed to see that he is interfering. He blocks a punch from his gremlin of a brother and gains Ifa's admiration. Seika also tells her that she is special, hinting at her ability to see magical things. Ifa illustrates her powers by showing him a spirit. Ifa uses spirits for her favors, which makes Seika wonder about the depths of her abilities. Ifa also doesn't have any magic, and so Seika tests her through a harmless spirit. After defeating the spirit, Ifa tells him that she wants to explore about the vast world if she becomes free someday. Aw, free her bro. 6 months flew by and on comes Seika's 12th birthday. As usual, his brother tags along with Luft to annoy him. Suddenly, a maid barges in panting, and finally explains that a monster appeared near the city. They are also informed that their father has actually fended off the creature into the forest, which meant that they are at risk. To their misfortune, the elder Nude in fact appeared right before them and made a wimp out of Gray and the others. Seika displays great bravery and also notices Ifa, who invoked an unconscious use of her powers and protected herself. Seika decides to take charge of the situation, using his potent poison fire technique to exploit the amphibian's weakness. Luft happens to catch Seika defeating the monster just by himself, which leads to a celebratory uproar in his name. Well deserved too. Seika and his family are sat across the table for their meal. Gray is naturally jealous of his brother outshining him, while Seika's father praises him for his heroic feat. Sensing the right moment, Seika requests his father to allow him an opportunity to enroll in the Rodney-Ya Magic Academy. Gray expresses his great annoyance, especially when his father gives Seika the green signal on his request. Seika wishes for another request, which is a plea to consider Ifa also into the school as his attendant. Seika achieves his father's firm conviction when he tells Ifa to use her abilities. Ifa does as much by faking an incantation, impressing his father, who agrees with her admission so long as she passes. Further enraged, Gray rudely reminds his father of their tradition to allow only one Ramplog family member into the Rodniya Academy. His father ruins his life when he tells the boy that it is he who is instead going to the Imperial Army. Damn, Dad just played Uno reverse to ruin his entire career. Unable to accept his fate, the boy winces and challenges Seika to a definitive duel, with the condition of Seika's expulsion from the family in case of a loss. Seika accepts without worry, and only later that night, Luff comes to deliver him a happy birthday gift, which is a glass pen. Seika is grateful for his older brother's kind consideration. Oh, dude is a Sigma. However, later into the night, Seika is unexpectedly attacked by Gray even before the day of their duel. Gray is mad pissed and casts a superior flame magic to hurt Seika. Contrary to his expectations, Seika emerges from the flames unscathed and uses his talisman to inflict the pain of breaking an arm on his brother. This is the first time Gray sees the true powers of his younger brother. Yeah, how do you like that now, you pipsqueak? And so, with Gray's traumatic injury, he doesn't appear for their duel the next day, crowning Seika victorious by default. Seika has been working hard by using his spirits to drive out monsters from the forest. He wants to live a liberal life, a life where he isn't a central figure and just enjoys exploring the present moment. Ifa and a travel-sick Seika begin their journey to the Rodniya Academy. Their father reminisces the first time he received Seika 12 years ago. The boy was a rarity as those with black eyes and black hair were rare to be born in the country. He could also use magic at a young age. Well, not like he's an overpowered guy in his previous life or anything. His father knows that Seika's blue flames and Ifa's variations of magic are all different. That is the sole reason he sent Seika to the academy, as he believes that someday, the boy will be influenced to either protect the country or destroy the entire world. Damn, Dad knows what's up. Over at Rodniya Academy, Ifa is flustered to ask the boy if she can stay in his room for the day. Seika doesn't take any hints and manages to make her leave the room. His spirit, Yuki, however, voices her endless complaints for the little girl. Yo, Yuki knows the girl got the hots for him. They explore the magic school and introduce themselves to an examiner who instructs them to place their hands on their tool to gauge their magic power. The tool doesn't work on Seika, who boldly expresses that he doesn't boast any magic power in front of the whole academy. This confession is met with harsh, judging eyes of the students who think of the Ramplog representative as a joke. Among them, a girl drives right to the tool. Amiu the commoner is compatible with all attributes and gives Seika a glaring look, before warning him never to cross her. Seika is most stunned because her face looks just like his student who killed him in his original life. Seika and Ifa are forced to take the practical test instead, where Ifa especially uses her wind lances and impresses even the likes of Seika with her magic. Next is the boy's turn, who uses his blue flames to steal everyone's attention, before using a variation of water magic to freeze the arena into place. His impressive use of techniques leaves all of them gasping for questions. Haha, they're never going to even attempt bullying. The teachers Cordell and Karen discuss how the testing field has become totally unusable because of the Ramplog family's duo, especially with Seika possessing not a sliver of magic. They are reminded of an old fairy tale, in which the revival of the Demon Lord also births the legendary hero to take him down. After receiving their performance results, Seika notes that Amiu placed an extraordinary 600 points, achieving the highest of them all. The day of the entrance arrives and Amiu is about to give a speech as the first-year student representative. However, that's exactly when the walls are explosively torn down. The students are horrified to welcome the demons and begin scattering away. Amiu, with her wind magic, dismantles one of them and orders for the flock to run away instead of getting in her way. Seika thinks that he should also contribute and locates the summoner responsible for the cause. He leaves Ifa to tend to the matter and arrives to their main base. Bro just docks them straight up. The monsters charge forth to take him down, and yet Seika uses his imprisonment magic to hold them down. One of the beasts is called Gulgal and gives Seika a difficult time with his barrage of blades. The demon manages to cleave the boy's arm with his surprise attack and entertains him with their objective. Gulgal wants to kill the legendary hero from the fairy tale that everyone knows about. Trust me, pal, you're not that guy. Seika contemplates if such a superstitious story is actually the reality, and wonders if Amiu is the known hero to save them all. Gulgal thanks the boy for uttering her name, and drives more blades into Seika to hold him in place. Unable to do anything, Golgol severs Seika's head, leaving him for dead as he moves on to fulfilling his mission. Whoa, bet you didn't expect for that to happen. However, Seika spawns from behind fully unscathed, advising the demon to confirm his kills properly. Damn, Seika is truly a gamer, haha. The demon asks the curious question, how is Seika still alive? He decides to pop his head off a second time, but Seika has gamer genes and keeps respawning with every death. The demon claims to kill him every time he returns alive, but Seika just gives him a lecture on how strong people truly are. Bro so opus he casually drops tips to his enemies. He casts a tremendous flood through his water magic and then uses a thunder beast of his own to strike him down. The aftermath of the attack leaves a crater in the ground, and just when Seika wonders if he has defeated his opponent, the demon impales him right through him. Mr. Goatman is actually pretty strong. Wow. Seika isn't worried and uses a combination of metal and water magic to wear the demon down. Seika also proceeds to summon one of his trump cards, an ethereal eastern dragon called Mizuchi. Golgol is shocked because not even the demon lord is known to be capable of taming a wyvern. But Seika corrects him, reminding the demon that he boasts a whole dragon to himself. Damn, what a freaking flex. After defeating the demon, Mizuchi unexpectedly attacks Seika and eventually escapes. Seika wonders why this is happening and thinks it is because his current body hasn't fully developed. He is reminded of the child who defeated his strongest demon and dragon in his previous life. Returning to Rodniya Academy, Seika meets up with Ifa and the others when they discover a battered Amiu after defeating her demonic opponent. Seika is glad that she is developing in such a way and wants to become her ally. He doesn't care if she gets squashed in the end and simply plans to nurture her to be the public face as the strongest. Is this Ayanokoji? Bro is a savage and a manipulator in one. Seika's life at his school continues and he tries his hardest to interact with Amiu, who coldly turns him down. That is when Seika faces a daunting realization. He is actually unsociable despite his years of experience. Yikes, that's an L not even reincarnation can fix. Amiu becomes a target of the seniors at this academy because of her recent contributions. The seniors all gang up on her so Seika butts in and gets mocked as an illegitimate child. The seniors are inconsiderate of Ifa and rude to Seika, going as far to grab his gifted pen without permission. That's when Seika opts for a spell that freezes one of them into place, while the other gets his face rocked by a fist. And honestly, 100% deserved. Amiu acknowledges Seika's attempt to somehow help her during this advance, and she even rejects his advances of friendship. Their teacher Cordell accidentally throws a vase containing a strange thick liquid. Seika has initial doubts and thinks it is the work of gravitational magic. They shrug it off and proceed to take Miss Karen's class. Karen tells them their class is going to be about curses who are applied to harm the target in numerous ways. Near the end of the class, she also informs the student body that Amiu and Ifa will be made part of a special quest honoring a tradition at their academy. Rodniya Academy boasts a magical forest containing rare herbs and treasures, and in an effort to pay respect to the temples, their best students step forth every year. Amiu has her own concerns regarding the matter, but what's even more shocking is that Seika steps up and openly orders his slave Ifa to resign from the position so that he can take her place. Seika later asks Ifa if she has any issues with his sudden decision, and she tells him she wants the best for him. Ifa also seems to be jealous on behalf of Seika's growing interest in Amiu, who is a strong and beautiful student. Seika assures her that there is nothing going on between them and comforts the flustered girl. Oh, you poor Ifa. The day of the ceremony arrives with Amiu's terrible pairing with Seika. They're already off on an uncomfortable foot when Amiu receives a sudden headache. Seika hops over to observe a similar magic crest to the one he saw during his clash with the demons. Suddenly, the two of them are transported underground with the many monsters. Seika uses his magic to take care of the beasts by himself and earns suspicion from Amiu. Dungeons by nature are underground mazes where monsters spawn alongside items and other things. To ease up their burden, Seika uses his talismans to light up the whole of the dungeon for easier navigation. No, seriously, that dungeon looks brighter than my future goddamn. Yuki informs Seika of the incoming monsters. The beasts quickly begin their attack, and as Amiu is about to land her finishing blow, she is burdened by the same painful headache and receives a powerful punch, crashing into the wall. Realizing that she's knocked unconscious, Seika decides to use this opportunity and slaughters the entire group of monsters by himself. Bro basically said fine, I'll do it myself lol. When she wakes up, Amiu is pleasantly surprised that Seika can also use healing magic with other things. Seika wonders why she is having the same symptoms again, and he ensures a barrier around to cover them from any monsters. They explore the possibility of a curse hindering her ability to perform her best. Seika thinks that it is a curse casted remotely from afar. He is able to remedy her worries with a talisman, but Amiu continues to hammer him with annoying questions regarding Seika's relationship with Ifa. "Leave my boy alone. He's innocent." Amiu reflects on her life as she has formidable parents. The only thing she cares about is fighting. Being a battle maniac, she did not receive a welcoming childhood in the eyes of others who thought that her lust for combat was crazy. However, when Seika comforts her and reasons his understanding with her situation, Amiu is surprised and relieved. Funnily enough, he gets knocked in the face for teasing her at the same time. Amiu warms up to Seika and thanks him for his help. The boy detects that there are no monsters around them as they continue to find a way out of the dungeon. Damn. Take lessons from Seika on how to steal a chick's heart. Arriving at the gate of the dungeon boss, Seika and Amiu discuss the nature of the bosses as they are generally considered the cores of a dungeon. They are also rated across grades based on difficulty level. Amiu wants to turn back as she thinks it will be a risky fight with no information to their favor, but Seika stops her and suggests otherwise. With charmful persuasion, he is able to win her heart as they barge inside to defeat the boss. The Naga readies its attack but receives a heavy barrage of wood pikes from Seika's techniques while Amiu distracts. The monster spits out an acid that they are barely able to evade. Seika finds an opportune moment and uses his exploding nail technique to impale the monster as they finish it off with an explosive fireball attack. The boss is defeated and Amiu is the gladdest of her first subjugation for a dungeon boss. Seika pats her head and suggests that they should now find an exit. Due to his excessive knowledge, he keeps rambling about random topics in order to nurture and help Amiu grow into becoming the strongest. They come across a rare mithril sword and decide to take it with them. Seika also finds a ring with an essence of magical power. These were the treasures of the dungeon, and they gathered an intrigue in both Seika and Amiu as they promise to go adventuring again someday. Seika tells her that he needs to check a door by himself and splits away from Amiu. The real reason he separated is because the dungeon is still active, meaning the real boss is elsewhere. Nagi is able to find the real boss, which is a whole deal greater in difficulty compared to the previous one they just fought. He quickly attends to the boss fight by himself and manages to destroy the dungeon core. Man, I'm telling you he's overpowered. Amiu and Seika find a trapdoor and decide to use a magic technique to pop its lid as they emerge from their dungeon troubles. Woohoo. Victory at last. Even though they were queried about the details of the incident, Seika kept information about his techniques a secret. He has more important matters to attend to and finally pays a visit to Cordell-sensei in private. Seika asserts his claim about rituals that occurred during the demon invasion and also the dungeon raid. He calmly dismantles his teacher's schemes and invites Cordell to reveal their true form. With a maniacal smile on his face, the spy reveals his true form at last. He is a human working on behalf of the demon race. Seika has found the culprit responsible for the many incidents, and now this evil force wants to take his life for shredding apart their disguise. My goodness, Seika is deploying 5 head deductions here. Seika is confident about his victory and boasts that his opponent's spell has glaring weaknesses. The first being the fact that it is no longer placed on Amiu, and the second he demonstrates by summoning the lesser demon himself. Seika then transfers the demon's curse onto his body and receives a daunting effect from its course. Seika then chants his special technique and inflicts the curse damage to his opponent, causing him to bleed from every orifice of his face in cold fashion. Coughing and eventually collapsing to the floor full of blood, Seika remarks that curses are actually an exorcist's main line of expertise, and he just happens to be the strongest. Imagine that. Imagine being so smooth-brained that you cursed a curse specialist. 5 days pass and the boy gifts Ifa his magical ring without any romantic inference. Ifa is grateful and tells him that she will take good care of the item. Amiu is surprisingly on good terms with Ifa and boldly rejects Seika every chance she gets despite their dungeon raid. Then, her tsundere side still hasn't budged. The principal of the Rodniya Academy has finally issued a report regarding Cordell's involvement as an assassin. She signals her assistant to prepare for their contingency plan to ensure the hero's safety, something that can sway the eyes of the demons away from the school. Dude, looks like Sir Elegant from Spy X Family got isekai'd in this universe. The entrance ceremony doesn't seem to have any signs of an assassin, causing Seika to feel relieved. However, the vice principal personally comes to inform them about their summon to the principal's office. Ifa and Seika meet her in kind, and the principal explains that she wants one of the two to compete in the biggest event of the country, which is a swordsmanship tournament allowing the use of magic. The principal reminds them that she is only looking for one participant as the other has been already decided. Mabel Crane steps up as such participant and introduces herself to Seika and Ifa. The both of them wonder why they have been summoned here with her selection, as the dean can't convince Seika properly. Seika suggests Amiu in his stead and thinks that she is the perfect candidate, except the principal believes otherwise and suggests Seika to choose from his available options. Seika finally steps up to issue his participation for the event, and reflects that it is because of Mabel's presence, who gives off an air of determination. Not gonna lie, principal is giving mad sus vibes. Later, Amiu is busy dissing the noble and thinks that Mabel put half-hearted effort in her training. The girl pulls up and corrects Amiu that she is befitting of her own insult. Damn, pulled out the Uno reverse during the trash talk. Their discussion gets heated and eventually Amiu rushes forth for a sword battle. However, Mabel decides to use magic and defeats her in front of everyone. Mabel glides by the prodigious student, mocking her for thinking that she is a hero. Even Seika noticed the flow of magic in her strike, which is basically cheating in a battle. Mabel herself thinks otherwise and informs her partner that he shouldn't enter the tournament as it is a place unfitting of the weak. Goddamn, the exaggerated swagger of this girl. Arriving at the capital Erdnesk, the heated energy between Mabel and Amiu only continues. Finally, the grand tournament involving swords and magic is announced to begin. The announcer calls forth Seika and his first opponent Dennis Regan on the stage. Seika looks bored and quickly ends the battle using his internal power technique, walking away without a single sweat. As he's walking away from the arena, Seika reflects having noticed two impressive things during the tournament so far. He notes Mabel's interesting use of magic while holding a sword as tall as her, and the second thing is the knight known as Reincarnated, who is capable of using 4 elements at once. Okay, that's quite the punch. Kickstarting the next battle, Kyle and Belen join the arena, with the announcer pointing out their lack of information regarding Kyle's abilities. As soon as the match begins, the crowd receives a staggering upset. Belen is just frozen in place while Kyle approaches his stationary body, and mercilessly drives a sword right through his throat, ending the battle. Seika thinks that this contestant is fishy and was sent by someone with an objective in mind. He also observes Kyle's left eye to be that of an evil eye, capable of casting a curse on an opponent on sight. Whoa, this guy feels like he came right out of a horror movie. Seika's second battle also begins as he faces off against a golem and instantly decimates it with his spirit techniques. Amiu is yet again impressed with his variety of techniques while Ifa seems jealous of their conversation. I call dibs on Seika stealing all the girls at this point. Mabel's next battle also begins and Seika prominently notes her variety of weapons. Her opponent is a high-level earth magician who instantly casts a rock blast technique. Mabel cuts through the various boulders and closes her range with her opponent. Even though he casts a barrier wall, Mabel's strengthened blades are able to cut right through layers upon layers of his defenses, which is a consequence of gravity magic. Finally, Mabel flash steps this magician and delivers the final blow, earning the praise of the crowd with her stellar performance. Seika also prominently notes how everyone is referring to her as the hero, even though it is supposed to be Amiu. After the battles, Seika decides to pay a visit to one of the assassins for the demons that he spied on. The man lunges forth to strike down Seika, but he is instead captured in a vine-binding technique thanks to the boy's quick measures. Seika also uses Satori, a spirit capable of interrogating a person's true intentions through their soul. Through this, Seika learns that the assassins currently believe Mabel is the true hero of the legends. Damn, demons really do be getting outsmarted here. He frees the assassin and lets his spirit eat him alive. Seika wanders off, realizing that he managed to get the most important answer, the purpose of the tournament to let Mabel win and pose as the hero instead of Amiu. Seika's suspicions all came to light as he realized that the Academy is trying to pull a stunt to avert the eyes of their enemies away from their hero. That is why Amiu was not nominated and also why Mabel is being used for the task. After that, Kyle and Reincarnated each won their matches without problems, and Seika followed them by winning his match against a necromancer, advancing to the semi-finals. The next day, Kyle's third match is about to commence. Mabel safely advanced in her battles too, while Kyle's next opponent did not appear to fight him. Mabel asks for Seika's attention and requests that he withdraw right now as she will not hold back in their upcoming battle. If only she knew about his powers, haha. Seika openly rejects her approach, earning her anger as response. Kyle proceeds to win his match by default, and so does Riena's. Because of this sudden development, Kyle and Riena's get to fight each other now. The battle between the two competent fighters begins with Riena's taking charge and enveloping himself in a shield of tolerance against curses. He boasts that he will no longer be affected by any curses, and also strikes down Kyle with a massive fireball attack. Emerging from the flames while unscathed, Kyle moves forward and counters all elemental attacks by Riena's, who is trying to overwhelm him with various magic abilities. This is when Seika notices another interesting development. Kyle is using gravity magic the exact same as Mabel. Whoa, copycat alert. Through this, he gives Riena's a tough battle and exhausts his techniques. Riena's tries to attack him up front with his blade, but he instantly freezes because of Kyle's shadow curse, freezing him into place. Bruh, they took inspiration from Naruto's Shikamaru. The battle comes to a close with Kyle trampling his opponent, sending chills in the audience with his overwhelming power. That night, Mabel crashes right into Seika's room in an effort to subdue him before battle. Intrigued to know about her fighting style, the boy entertains her, but she vanishes soon after. Seika is able to locate her and tells Mabel to stand down as he has no intentions of fighting. They share a tempered conversation with Mabel voicing her true feelings, begging for Seika to withdraw from her battle. Seika obviously has no worries and thinks that it is the perfect time to hit her with a hammering observation. Seika declares that she is Amiu's stand-in in front of the public and came here to fulfill her mission at the tournament. He gets everything right, except for one crucial thing. Mabel enlightens him that the full scope of the objective is to get Mabel killed at the hands of Kyle by their final fight. The plan is to fool the demons into thinking the hero is dead, therefore subduing their threats. Whoa, did not expect a 3000 IQ strategy like that. Seika objects to the idea with his valid concerns, but Mabel tells him not much can be done. She informs him about the Lugrock Association, whom Kyle is a representative of. Their association is the one who asked for the academy to use a child similar to Amiu in terms of age and looks, and she is all but disposable in the end regardless of the result. She also tells him that Kyle has undergone a surgery to become a perfect killing machine that follows all orders. Mabel and her friends shared a grim past in the end, where Kyle was instructed to kill off his own friends. The remaining final test for Kyle is Mabel's existence. Seika realizes that Kyle is actually her brother, causing Mabel to wonder how he knows this side of the world. Her only desire is to grant her brother's wish in the upcoming battle. She knows that after facing Seika, there will be some injuries holding her back from using her full strength against Kyle. Seika is adamant in his stance and tells her that he will not only win against her in their match, but also take down Kyle. Bro casually said, "I'm gonna body you and your brother LMAO." He wants to prevent the grim fate of the fated two siblings, and Mabel is simply unaccepting of his meddling. Seika thinks that as long as they are only dealing with mere assassins, they won't face much trouble, and declares himself the strongest. Haha, dude just said he's Gojo Satoru. Seika also advises her to follow her brother's actual wish, which is for Mabel to live an unburdened and free life. Seika and Mabel spout their declarations of war against the other and eventually part ways. On his way back, Seika tells Yuki that he has no plans to kill Kyle and only Mabel can accept the monster that he is right now. The day of the finals arrive at last, with Mabel lunging right at Seika, kickstarting their match. Seika is impressed by her physical prowess and tries to overwhelm her with projectile attacks. In the end, it takes barely any effort for Seika to entangle her in his vine binding technique, rendering her incapable of continuing the match. The winner of this battle is Seika without a scratch. It's so funny how she became a Seika victim with just one attack after all that talk. And now comes the main course. Seika is forced to go against the indestructible demon Kyle. The battle opens with Seika's complaint for Kyle, as he is annoyed at Mabel's brother for his treatment of her. Seika uses his talismans, deploying a mist technique that impedes the sight of the crowd. He then calls forth an Oxoni, another one of his arsenal's prominent warriors. This beast simply absorbs any attacks by Kyle and also slams him with a monstrous blow, sending Kyle crashing into the wall and onto the ground. The battle is definitively over, except no one can see it yet. Seika is pleasantly surprised to find out Kyle's ability to breathe. However, tragedy strikes when his body begins to surrender the effects of a brutal curse. The curse depletes him of his vitality, and Kyle apologizes to Seika as his final few words. who's cutting onions right now. Forced in a corner, Seika tries to use a special technique in order to outdo the forces responsible for deploying the curse. As he is literally about to revive the dead right in front of him, Yuki stops her master and reminds him that it is a dangerous tactic to use. Seika regains his sense of reason and decides to handle it a different way. After the mist cleared, Seika explained to the announcer that his attack utterly destroyed Kyle without leaving a trace, and was ultimately declared the winner of the tournament. Consequently, Seika successfully manages to give Kyle a proper burial, freeing him from his painful life as part of the association. He relays Kyle's final few words to Mabel, which are something about a 4-leaf clover accessory. Mabel realizes that he accidentally broke her accessory before his surgery, which became a memorable moment for the two. Mabel uncontrollably cries and ends up going back with Seika. Amiu and Ifa are waiting for the two of them, and Amiu insists for a rematch with Mabel, which ultimately ends in Amiu's victory. Amiu wants to befriend Mabel and understands her miserable experiences, inevitably becoming a light in her life. The two shake hands and eventually the group departs, with Mabel looking back as a final goodbye to Kyle. Damn, F's in the comments for Kyle. The tournament is over and the two representatives of Rodnia Academy are summoned to the principal's office for their performance. She is accepting of their outcome, especially on Mabel's end, and insists Seika to stay for a confidential conversation. The boy begins to unravel the various questions surrounding the school's involvement with the events. He carefully picks apart the fact that their academy had no intention of following through the original plan through the end and only prioritized on securing Mabel's existence. Not only that, the headmistress also sent Seika away as a trump card to defeat Kyle as a final resort. The principal replies that Seika boasts a talent comparable to the prodigious hero herself, which is why she felt confident in her actions. The principal also tells him that Mabel is a defect for a child. She is blessed with talent but lives in walls of misfortune surrounding her life. Her whole idea came to fruition thanks to Seika's involvement in the end. After his meeting, Seika continues living his life with Mabel, Ifa and Amiu in a casual manner. In his room, he reflects that it has been 3 months since their grand tournament, and the academy just entered its summer vacation phase. Seika receives a letter from his father who wants the boy to investigate a matter regarding a dragon. There we go. More dragons, please. Seika also reads that this dragon has been attacking the people and livestock as of recent, despite being a legendary figure in the former capital of a country called Astria. Seika notes how dragons are the strongest monsters in the entirety of the world and knows he has a lot of free time. Seika wants to go over to Astria to spend his summer break and confesses the plan to his inner friend circle. Amiu and Mabel aren't able to come, so Seika invites Ifa instead. Finally, those who are involved with the case decide to meet him in a public place, surprising Seika. Prince Cecilio Astria meets the boy in kind and praises the excellent students of the Magical Academy. He is also flattered to meet Ifa's beautiful looks and casually invites her to become a part of his inner palace. Whoa, this prince is a player. Amiu and Mabel are both stunned by this honest confession, but Ifa informs the prince that she is in fact Seika's slave and doesn't have a say in the matter. Prince Cecilio turns to Seika and tells him that he is willing to put up any price. Seika notes Rise, who is a forest-dwelling elf by her appearance and boasts formidable strength. The group decides to attend to the real subject of their meeting and borrows the reception room. Cecilio begins with the explanation regarding their former capital. He basically makes Seika realize that he is the head of the city himself, while the sacred dragon has been acting in an erratic manner. Seika wonders if the dragon is being somehow wary of the outsiders entering its territory and also asks Cecilio about the dragon's motivation for attacking. Cecilio has nothing substantial to offer and tells them a mere legend regarding the past queen of Astria, who raised the dragon from its egg, which means it was once humanly raised. Prince Cecilio requests Seika to properly attend to this mission until the very end, who on his side accepts wholeheartedly. Before they leave, Seika notes how Rise is overly cautious of them, especially when it comes to Cecilio's attraction to Ifa. Seika is done with his meeting and is suddenly dragged into the bushes by Amiu and Mabel, who are hungry for information. They are both worried if he has any plans to sell Ifa off, to which Seika replies that he has plans to free her if she wills. Mabel and Amiu are quick to give their opinions on the matter, but Seika tells them he can't do anything if she chooses to be freed in the end. Seika reflects that regardless of Ifa's decision, he will choose to respect it ultimately in the end. Wow, mature protagonist on the swing. Ifa and Seika depart from their academy to enter the former capital of Istria known as Proto-Ista. Apologizing for the trouble, Cecilio tells Seika that they will be taking a break before continuing onward because the horses became frightened. That's when it happened. A real dragon appeared right before their eyes. Cecilio remarks that it has no intention of attacking the group so far, and this species is usually referred to as the greater dragon. The winged beast is only acting cautious to protect its nest from invading forces. Cecilio commends Seika's composure despite seeing a giant beast in front of him. That's when the boy notes a particular flow of power. Suddenly, a gigantic lava tiger lunges forth and nearly kills Ifa before Seika takes care of it. Controlling the beast, the mercenary decides to reveal himself. Sect is actively hunting for the dragon with his group and thinks that it poses a great threat to the empire. Sect meets Seika in kind while the boy wonders why Cecilio ordered a mercenary group. Shockingly, the prince confesses wanting to subjugate the dragon. Whoa, he's a snide little rat in the end. Seika is surprised and suggests for the crew to reconsider their plans as their opponent is a formidable winged beast controlling the skies. Sect boasts that he and his team have terminated many kinds of dragons before, but Seika ushers him to stand down as he is annoyed for Ifa's near mishap. The mercenary butts heads with the boy in an argument, and eventually the prince is forced to intervene. Not only that, Seika is basically told to keep his mouth shut regarding their country's affairs. Bro, he's helping you guys for free. Seika reflects how everyone in their group seems to be operating on different agendas. He also comes by to scold Ifa for her lack of awareness and disuse of magic. He is serious about her life and advises her to rely on her own abilities instead of waiting for him to come rescue every time. When the snotty prince tries to butt in, Seika tells him that one should use power in every case when it is required. That's right, you tell him, king. Seika did not seek for the girl to freeze up in fear because of his past experiences. That night, Ifa comes to inform him that Prince Cecilio invited her for a conversation and didn't want what to do. Ifa suggests that they sleep together for the night, and gets startled when Seika inquires her decision on Cecilio. The boy wants to talk it out with her and makes it clear that she can join him if she so pleases. Seika is accepting of the fact that he will be lonely but thinks that people should follow their own path. Because of his words, Ifa ends up rejecting the prince and doesn't turn up to his invitation. Haha, this is how the worst she can say is no be like. The next day, Seika continues his investigations on the dragon of Istria, and says that this beast once used to live with the humans and eventually left its nest after growing up. Seika thinks that the dragon they're dealing with is a male dragon and can't merely be taking care of a child. He ventures out to climb the mountain himself, and yet Seika can't shake off the uneasiness about the prince's need to free Ifa despite her decision. He thinks that she will be worried for him and wants to get back as soon as possible. In fact, unbeknownst to Seika, Rise came to confront Ifa in private, going as far as to tell her that the boy she lingers around with has the same devastating and cunning presence of the demon lord that existed in the past. Rise enlightens about information regarding the capital and also points out the spirits hovering just above the girl's head. Rise reveals that Ifa happens to be a descendant of the elves because of her powers, and that is the reason the spirits associates with her. Oh, so that's why she's OP despite no magic. Rise feels sadness for the girl for having gone slavery throughout all her life and insists that she should join Cecilio's inner palace as the young master is a good man at heart. Ifa obviously has her issues with her insistence and continues to state that she won't be joining the palace in any way. Bro, Ifa is a real one for that. Rise cuts clear that Seika is a monster in disguise as no spirit dares to even approach him. We are also shown how easily Seika is able to capture the dragon on his own without worries. Ifa comes to his defense, stating that he is a normal child who grew up at the mansion. Ifa continues to believe that Seika is a good person throughout, despite the elf's insistent behavior. Rise takes her to the true inner palace in an effort to demonstrate her point. Rise makes the young master's attraction towards the girl all clear, while Ifa thinks that the inner palace is a bright place with every freedom imaginable. Rise tells her that the young master is urgently trying to solve the issue regarding the dragon in order to live up to the queen's reputation, and also thinks that he may be unable to find anyone worthy to become his bride. At this time, Seika's words flooded into Ifa's mind. Seika himself is surprised that this dragon has been protecting an egg all along. He realizes this egg caused all of its erratic behavior and concludes that the dragon transformed biologically, morphing from being a male into a female just to give self-autonomous birth. He decides that it would be best to incubate the egg in order to preserve the life inside of it. Seika frees the dragon from the magical net, not sensing any hostility from the beast. He hovers over and protects the egg, allowing the winged beast to find itself a meal and return back to the egg. Seika obviously has to go back to the former capital, and so the dragon tries to return his generosity in kind by offering him a ride. Wow, bro casually bodied the dragon so hard he reset it to factory settings. Meanwhile, Prince Cecilio welcomes Ifa and readies an appropriate price for her purchase. His consigliere confirms the documents for her, and that's when she realizes that they set up a procedure to free her from her master. The cunning prince tells her that they're going to liberate her from Seika. Ifa voices her complaints and thinks that Seika's approval is obligatory to commence such an act, and the prince happens to believe that he will approve the matter after being provided extraordinary compensation for the trade. Cecilio confesses his honest feelings with Ifa, who cannot help but think about Seika. She adamantly turns him down another time, and so these people try to force her down. The elf also restricts her from using magic as she would add fuel to the fire in her troubles. Rise slices off some blood from Ifa and decides to force her to sign the contract. Ifa is being forced against her will, and all she can think about is the academy and her time with Seika. And that's when something extraordinary happened, something that shocked all of them. Seika arrives mounted on top of the legendary dragon of the capital, and has come just in the right moment. Seika doesn't know what happened so far and extends his hand to Ifa, who apologizes to Cecilio and Rise and thinks about her time spent with Seika and the others. Ifa confesses in her heart that she truly loves this person and clutches his hand before the two fly away with the enormous dragon of the skies. And could there be a better vacation than that? I don't think so. Ifa is mesmerized by the view while Seika ponders how he used to ride on the head of the Mizuchi spirit in his past life. Ifa is happy to be with him and wonders how he managed to befriend this winged beast. The two embrace each other and eventually descend to the dragon's nest. The mention of the dragon's egg shocks Ifa, but there's a bigger problem at present. A lava tiger emerged, and so did the mercenary group of Sect, the man who has his own motives with the dragon. Both Sect and Seika are surprised when Ifa casts her magic in an effort to cease the man from doing whatever he wants. Seika is amazed by her powers and thinks it is an intelligent use of magic, as a large volume of water happens to be Lava Tiger's weakness. Sect is insistent in this battle, and Seika tells the girl to stop as he will end this battle. With his binding technique, Seika entraps the spirit and then incinerates it in white flames. His attack intimidates the group and they begin to scatter, leaving Sect behind. The mercenary is angry and resorts to using his real trump card, except Ifa just dismantles him with ease and earns praise from Seika. That's right, rock his ugly self Ifa. With that settled, the mercenaries and their intentions are unveiled to the prince, as these people are poachers in disguise who also lied about defeating other dragons. Seika enlightens Cecilio about the egg of the dragon, who is shocked to see that he has been accepted by the dragon. Seika informs them that one can hatch the dragon's egg with the right methodology. The situation is actually in their favor now, as the dragon hopes for their help instead. Cecilio is pleasantly surprised, and Seika tells him that Astria's dragon has done the same for the youth of the city. They owed a favor to the dragon for its years of debt. Damn, Seika just became debt collector 9000. Prince Cecilio rejects Seika's ideas and thinks that his approach lacks the evidence to convince the Empire's parliament members. The wretched man insists on Seika's powers to subdue the dragon, allowing the young prince to get the results in front of the Empire for fulfilling their demands. Seika doesn't comply and thinks that it is a terrible solution after his speech. In response to his honest declination, he is met with a vitriolic response. Cecilio once frames him for causing anomalies in the dragon with his magic and wants to summon his father for an explanation for the cause. Not only that, he offers for Ifa to come take his hand yet again, declaring her free from the shackles of Seika. Man, this persistent idiot of a prince has zero IQ. However, all of this just ends up pissing Seika off, as he shouts how immature the young ruler is for only caring about a woman despite the seriousness of the matter. He lashes at him for only thinking about Ifa without considering the good of the citizens. Seika confesses enraged that he will never let them take her away, but his sudden bravado happens to make him embarrassed in the end. The elf Rise questions if Ifa is truly content with the decision of staying with her master, and she happily agrees, wanting to return to the academy with Seika. Cecilia is at a loss for words, but Rise tells him he has been sincerely rejected in the end. Rise also apologizes for all of their misdeeds caused on the behalf of the prince and thanks the two of them. Later in private, Rise corrects herself and confesses that she was wrong after all, as Ifa seems to have prominent affection for the boy she loves. Rise gives her a few spirits of her own and comments how Ifa reminds her of the Queen's grace. Rise wants to honor Seika's words, who believes that the different species could live together, inviting a time of peace. They stand in the bed of beautiful flowers where Rise wishes the best for one of her kind. 2 days fly by with Ifa and Seika returning to their kingdom. Seika embarrassingly asks her the kind of person she wants to marry in the end. The flustered mess thinks that she wants such an individual to be kind, smart, and strong, and comments how she wants someone who often gets lonely. Her cute nod at Seika catches his attention. Man, I love how wholesome they are. Meanwhile, in the Valley of the Dark, demonic beings surge in their mission to defeat the hero of the legends. Garl Ganis, Pilis Layla, Medalev, and Rani are subordinates who admire the overwhelming strength of their leader. Zorl is a demon god proficient in his swordplay, who thinks that he will fulfill his mission with his team. Bro, these guys look so ridiculously broken. Seika and Ifa return to the academy to meet Mabel and Amiu. He invites Amiu especially to their house, as she is quite the popular figure, being able to stay at the top of her class and using all 6 elements. Yuki and Seika talk about how his father specifically requested for him to meet the hero girl. He wonders what it could be, while Yuki thinks that Seika should pursue the path of status and authority. Seika thinks otherwise and believes that despite his intelligence and wit, he is still incapable of handling politics properly, as even in his previous life, he couldn't become the absolute ruler. Seika's current path is to simply stay in the shadows and remain inconspicuous. Eventually, Seika reunites with his brother Luft and introduces him to Amiu and Mabel. Seika is especially blown away by a familiar, yet loud voice. It's everyone's favorite douchebag, Gray, who is now a part of the Imperial military. Whoa, there's never been a better redemption for a character. Gray challenges the boy to a match at once in order to settle their scores, claiming that he has trained a lot for this day to come. Amiu wonders if Gray is his brother and chimes in to fight him in a battle. Gray doesn't know what to make of her, while Seika tells him that he would happily take him on if he defeats Amiu. They ready their stance and their battle begins with the condition of not using any magic. Amiu and Gray clash their blades against the other, in which Amiu reflects that Gray is not allowing her any openings. The second she senses an opening, Gray prepares an incantation which distracts her, and then uses his blade to seize victory over his opponent. Amiu is pissed that he outsmarted her by faking the use of magic. To be honest, I'd be mad pissed too if my opponent trolled me like that. Gray wants to eagerly fight his brother immediately. He also allows him the use of all his abilities. A prestigious yet elegant woman walks to witness the duel in front of her eyes. She hurries Gray to begin the match and taunts him with her remarks. Gray decides to call off their match unexpectedly, while Seika wonders about the identity of the woman. Gray decides to properly introduce Fiona Elgraf, Holy Princess of the Empire. Amiu is especially shocked to meet her grace. The Holy Princess is one of the Priestess Bloods and a special presence of the Empire. Amiu has no idea why Fiona herself is at Seika's place, while Fiona praises Amiu for being the hero from their fairy tale. Fiona turns to Seika's attention and thinks that Seika is one of great capable powers. She tells them about her plans to stay a while longer and invites them to share a lunch together. Ifa is dazzled by the princess' presence, while Seika receives another remark from his brother Gray, who tells him that he is confident of his victory in their battle. Buddy, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Seika fills him in on his classmates, and eventually the group share a meal where Fiona remarks an odd joke about reincarnation. Seika shares a conversation with his father, who asks about his time spent in the academy. Seika pleasantly tells him how he thinks highly of the academy, which relieves his father somewhat. That's when his mother reveals how news regarding Rodniya Academy events don't reach to their ears. His mother's sudden contribution to the conversation surprised Seika, as he was always neglected by her in his reincarnated life. In his room, Seika has questions about Princess Fiona while Amiu crashes in without invitation. Seika apologizes for not telling her about Fiona's presence in advance, but Amiu believes that she would have come regardless. Amiu wonders how her friends want her to become a scholar or an official, but she pictures a different future. She asks about the boy's plans, who smiles and tells her that he still wants to become an adventurer. His confession relieves her heart, especially when he reminds her of the promise they made. Amiu happily exits his room, remarking how they will go on another adventure soon. In his mind, Seika's only goal with Amiu is to nurture the girl as he originally planned. Damn, Seika casually collecting chicks like the Infinity Stones. In his office, Edith, the father to Ifa, meets Seika's father and voices his complaints regarding her role with the boy. He doesn't trust the abominable force residing within the child, but the Ramplog family's patriarch assures him that he is a normal child with nothing to worry about. Edith takes the man for his word and decides to trust Seika's intentions with her. Meanwhile, Fiona and the others decide to enjoy themselves in the city. Fiona is pleased to be around with Seika and stands out with him in the crowd. Fiona wonders how two people grow close to the other in the eyes of the public, and Seika shares that usually it's through saving their loved ones and becoming close as a result. Fiona insists that Seika protect her while standing close by, while Amiu gets up in his face for acting stunned. Sensing a strange disturbance, Gray and Amiu cast their magical techniques to protect them. The both of them get up in Seika's face for dozing out during the collapse of the structure, even though Seika simply didn't feel the need to intervene. Fiona is upset with Seika being unable to save him properly, and thanks Gray and Amiu for their service. Damn, that's one princess who holds grudges. Seika ties her hair up in an effort to make her look like one of the ordinary girls of the city. Fiona is impressed receiving the gift and wants to treasure the item. Later that evening, Seika comes to visit his brother and asks to accompany him during his practice. Gray excelled in swordsmanship while Seika reigned ahead in magic. Gray tells him someone like him is at the bottom with Fiona playing at the top. He also thinks he wasn't chosen for his ability and rather because of some grand plan, as Fiona happens to be a politician. Seika plays naively and thinks it's not the case, but Gray enlightens him at last, telling his brother that Fiona possesses the magic to see indefinitely into the future. Well, turns out she's level 100 in Big Brain. Seika inquiries about the ability and Gray thinks it's actually plausible for her to have foreseen the building collapse a while ago. This is also why Gray called off their battle, because he thinks that she knew Seika was going to win. Gray argues that the future is malleable and thinks suspicious of the princess. Gray thinks that she can see into the future of the Empire due to her future sight ability. Seika makes a concerned face while his brother warns him to stay away from the matters of the Demon Lord and the hero. Seika is surprised to see that his brother is worried about him. Later in his room, he discusses the matter with Yuki, who wonders if Gray's words carry weight. Seika thinks that future sight is an ability completely different from the rest, as you can suddenly know about the future, and it cannot be taught to others. It's an ability separate from the likes of magicians. Seika believes that the ability should not be unbeatable and remains calm despite the revelations of her powers. Bro is not worried at all. Seika is displeased with her being a politician but isn't repulsed. Seika wonders why Amiu hasn't been winning as of late, as she is the hero with surges of talent while his brother isn't too strong. He believes that Amiu herself is weak and far from the powers mentioned in the legends. Fiona is playing battle chess and Seika chimes in to play with her. He remarks how weak he would be as a beginner opponent, but Fiona does him a favor and removes additional pieces from her side to even the playing field. Seika asks her if she can win with such a number in strength, and they share an interesting psychological battle. Wow, the mind games on this one. Fiona is interested in his opinion and questions Seika about the strongest piece in the world. Seika responds by pointing at Fiona and confronting her regarding her abilities. He thinks that the politicians are actually the strongest pieces of their world. Fiona is impressed with the answer and thinks he over-delivered in that regard. She doesn't confirm or deny and gives her own opinion. Fiona points to the table behind the king piece's back and informs him that it is instead the nameless and ambiguous public that is the strongest. In her view, the politicians and the kings contribute with nothing and only use resources from such people. She thinks that politicians cannot exist without taxes in their own regard. The citizens are their source of power, driving every decision. Fiona doesn't want to exterminate such a power source and declares them the most vital pieces of the planet, possessing the greatest authority. From within her talk, Seika is at least able to decipher that Fiona's abilities don't extend far into the future. Fiona tells him that she plans to live entirely to her own will without obeying to the plans of others. She also locks Seika in their chess position and believes the game will be over in 7 moves. Seika is impressed with her abilities and thinks that she didn't use her future sight during the game at all. Fiona seriously questions him in order to gain his trust, and Seika thinks that if only she revealed her weaknesses would he think of her in a positive light. The confident princess adjusted to the situation and confesses that pigeons make her the most uncomfortable. Seika is shocked to say the least, as he has never heard of such an eccentric person before. Lastly, Fiona confesses that if she were to choose between saving and being saved, then she would want to be the savior instead. She wants to save the sacred child known as the Empire and refuses to go into detail. Seika tells her that he plans to support her cause and wonders what she should ask of him as a reward for winning the game. Seika bids his farewell to Luft and the members of his family as they are to return to Rodnia Academy. Mabel doesn't want to leave as she adjusted to the lifestyle at his mansion while Fiona surprises Gray with an ominous remark regarding his death. Oh no, how creepy that is. On their way, Seika does his best to concentrate instead of succumbing to motion sickness. They stumble into a group of bandits who try to seize the carriages. However, what they don't know is about Seika's existence, who uses his overpowered magnetic magic and repels all of their arrows. Tough luck, bandits. Gray orders for his troops to protect the princess, who nonchalantly asks if their enemies have been defeated. Seika just so happened to destroy the enemies by himself and captured them all to her joy. Level 1 thug versus level 1000 protagonists be like. When they set up camp, Fiona asks for Seika to be summoned and thanks him for catching their assassin. Fiona calmly informs Seika that there is yet another group, but it won't be causing them any trouble anytime soon. Seika is dubious of the fact, but she is laser focused in her future sight and thinks the bounds of destiny cannot be overturned. We then see a sequence of the demons utterly annihilating the group to pieces with their haunting magic. On the demons' side of things, their leader Zorl believes that they should fulfill their objective in a righteous manner. He overviews the lives of his men, and thinks that defeating the hero is necessary for the demon race. He also knows that after the defeat of the hero, they will eventually be hunted, which will lead to an inevitable defeat. He and his men simply plan to enact justice on the behalf of their race, returning to Rodneyah without any problems. Seika thinks that he should act more normally because of the way he died in the previous world. He thinks he has become a coward and decides not to make any changes to his plans. The boy doesn't plan to run away from the enemy, and also believes that as long as the enemy doesn't know of his tampering, he will have no issues, and so begins the mission of the demons to draw out the hero as they surround the academy. They are encumbered by a dense fog. Medalev sways his blade to defend against the incoming attack. Mabel has come to the battlefield to face them. The demons begin their outrage with the ogre Medalev facing off against Mabel and fending off her attacks. This ogre proceeds to get wrapped in dark magic and effortlessly breaks the spell thanks to his resistance to magic. When the ogre lands his devastating hit on Mabel, he is shocked to discover that only a talisman is left in her place. The demon leader Zorl wonders what has been happening, as even with killing the humans, they're being replaced by talismans. That is when he issues a sudden order of retreat. Bro said, "Pull back or we getting squashed." However, it has already been too late. Observing them from above is the strongest exorcist, who sends chills in Zorl's body as the ogre's remains crumble to the ground. Seika comments how he didn't expect the demon to fall so quickly. He then faces his second opponent, an evil eye user who takes him too lightly. Zorl realizes that all of their efforts have been useless thus far, especially when two more of his subordinates get completely annihilated in a sweep. Oh boy, it's insane how he jobbed two of them like that. Zorl understands his mistake. He knew that challenging this monster would be a fatal error for them, as he eviscerated the likes of the mightiest ogre, an evil eye user, and beast tamer. Seika entertains him by foiling their plans to subdue the hero. Zorl issues an immediate order to let the demon race know the level of threat that they are dealing with. The demon lord is in fact Seika himself, who just so happens to be on humanity's side. And what do we know? The nuclear weapon itself is aiding humanity. Seika entertainingly wonders which one of his soon-to-be victims is stronger. Even though Zorl prepares a final attack to hold him off, he is completely obliterated with a single attack, putting an end to their mission. Yikes, talk about a solo squad wipe. Mabel runs up to him and informs him about the demon assassins, as she doesn't even know Mizuchi what happened moments prior. Seika tells her that she can totally leave a normal life from this point and informs her of their defeat. She is shocked to hear that he took care of all five by himself, and absurdly stated how he didn't feel any of them were even strong. Wow, he just called them weak in 50 different ways. Just when they're having their meal, the Durak Knights break into the room to seize Amiu the hero. She is being arrested for murdering the demonic assassins even though she did nothing of the sort. Ifer rises up to her support, but Seika takes charge and tells her that she is innocent and has nothing to worry about. Amiu is taken away by the guards, and then next day, Seika confronts the headmistress of the academy. The principal tells him that their empire isn't unified in its decision-making and have their own agendas with the hero. Seika wonders why they have to go the extent of killing the hero, who happens to be a young girl. Seika is upset and leaves the meeting disappointed. That night, the demon lord embarks with Yuki and Mizuchi. His powers are comparably improving with time, while Yuki advises him not to save the girl by himself as it would hinder his personal life. The boy, rather the demon lord Seika, declares that he is simply going to erase those that get to witness his powers in that scenario, and is willing to solve everything based on brute strength. Crap, he's gonna get transformed into a villain. He is facing an emotional dilemma because of the agendas of the Empire and his previous betrayal. Yuki cries out to question why the once calm and composed Seika is in a fit of rage. Amiu is in her cell, wondering why she is being locked up for no reason. She winces when her eyes lay forward to figure outside the cell. When Yuki tries to reason with Seika once more, he uncharacteristically tells her to obey his commands as a spirit. Using his techniques, he locates the locked-up Amiu and descends to retrieve her. His rage invites an inconsiderate approach to the guards as he tells them to get out of his way. After their assault, the Demon Lord bursts his way open using his various flame techniques, becoming an unstoppable force to meet his objective. Yikes, these guards are like a moth to a flame. Seika is reminded of his previous life as Haruyashi and ponders truly why it must end in such a depressing way. The scene continues from Amiu's cell. The person that came to meet her is Seika himself. Amiu is the most pleased on meeting him and tells the boy that she is fine and that there is nothing to worry about. Seika corrects her, revealing to Amiu the destiny she bears as a hero from the fairy tale. Seika believes that she will be killed by the people no matter what era or world, as that is the hero's fate. When Gray appears, Seika initially attacks him with his magic and calls off the attack once he realizes it's just his brother. Haha, Gray is lucky he didn't just get reduced to ashes. Fiona also came with him to confront Seika, who realizes that she tapped into the powers of her ability to foresee the future. Fiona wants to make him an undeniable proposal, but Seika only has questions. He asks Fiona to explain her thought process behind the attempts to kill Amiu. Fiona chants her tale of the empire that began as a small country. She tells him how the reliable existence of the hero gave people hope, as he would always defeat the Demon Lord with his holy sword. However, that is no longer the case, as the current military power of the Empire is more than capable to deploy thousands of soldiers to do what the hero could on a grand scale. Fiona believes that the concepts of the hero are outdated and thinks that one hero can't protect even a city properly. Seika wants her answer regarding Amiu's assassination and inquires why it must be the case. Fiona is saddened to explain that the existence of the hero is enough to engulf the world in war because of the different agendas. It is known for the Demon Lord to exist on the side of the demons, while the hero exists on the humanity's side. Fiona tells Seika that despite being prodigious, Amiu will never even reach the heights of the heroes of the past because of the existence known as Seika Ramplog. She furthers that a hero's strength comes from the hardships that they face, which is simply not possible with Seika taking care of all their worries with his absurd power. Seika thinks that it is still an unreasonable solution to kill her off just for the cause. Fiona enlightens him that she has a different plan for her in her heart. Her only request is for the boy to stand down against the Empire, as she would pose no trouble to Amiu or blame him for the incidents caused. She also reminds him about their deal during battle chess, pitching in the bet she won. Amiu tries to reason with the boy, but he tells her to shut up instead. Fiona urges him to trust their decisions, but he points out that he doesn't have a part of them that he could believe. Poor Seika, bro's just traumatized from his previous life. Fiona tells him that she has a carriage prepared right outside for Amiu, and also informs him that he can no longer return to the academy, and instead needs to run to the city of Rakana. It is a city developed because of its dungeons and free of danger. Seika realizes that Fiona planned for his refusal and managed to convince him in the end. Fiona tells him that she can accompany him to Rakana if necessary to gain his trust, but Seika turns her down for the cause. That's when Amiu informs him that during her stay in the cell, not once was she treated harshly and instead received the most support. Seika realizes that he overstepped in his act of concern and openly apologizes. He also undoes all of the damages that he caused with his attacks by casting a spell that undid the ruination of the structures. Fiona is impressed by his abilities and yet at the same time thinks that it would have been better if he let it be. She confesses that Seika is a truly kind person and bids him farewell. Fiona is accompanied by an allied demon who thinks that it is dangerous for her to stay unattended for long. When this demon asks about Seika's identity, she informs him that he is the current Demon Lord, meaning that Fiona is well aware of his true identity. She also believes that he wants to protect the hero, Amiu, right out of the goodness of his heart to honor their relationship. In fact, she is actually surprised that a person as powerful as Seika operates on the axis of compassion. Fiona thinks that he is the one who suffered the most in the end, and despite compromising himself, Seika Ramplog is a kind person who acts out of consideration for others. And that is what you call a goat of a protagonist. We're shown a flashback sequence of Seika's attack on his way to save Amiu. The two demons wonder if the hero and the Demon Lord just so happened to be classmates, and if Seika acted to save his captured friend. The person in the shadows pulling the strings is revealed to be King Gilazelius Erd Elgraf, the Emperor of the Kingdom himself.